So what has been the reason for delay in initiating this dialogue with defense? Because we have seen willingness from defense ministry also. Defense minister has spoken in parliament as well for increasing manufacturing base in the country, and we have seen the IT willingness for increasing manufacturing base in country. So where had been this delay?
No, I don't think we can talk of it as a delay, because it is not like a single product or a single project which is a deliverable. There are a number of steps which have already been taken by the defense ministry in terms of their procurement and the offset policy, which already move in this direction. There are a number of steps which have been taken by the IT department, which are also aimed at improving the manufacturing and the R&D. It is for these reasons that we do have today a very significant presence in the R&D, design and prototype manufacturing and the assembly, testing and in those areas. The question is, how do we converge these two further going into the future, and how do we bring in more scale into this mode with the passage of time, and how do we bring about a closer relationship in terms of the industry planning their own growth based on the future needs which are indicated by the defense department. This requires both a collaboration and a thinking which is much more longer term in its focus than perhaps we have today. So that will have to be evolved, because there are fundamental changes in the nature of the relationship between the government and the industry which that entails. These are not trivial, and these need to be thought through, and necessary systems and processes and safeguards need to be put in place. So it is a process of evolution, and I think we have already begun moving in that path as a system, and I refer to both the Department of IT and the Department of Defense. But keeping in view the recommendations that have been made by the task force, this has to be refined and evolved and strategized a little more. Our goals and targets in terms of time frame are that in terms of the recommendations of the task force, excluding the strategic sector, we have more or less finalized our recommendations and the consultation with various departments, and we expect to take it to the Committee of Secretaries within a month. So by the end of July, we expect to be able to receive the recommendations of the Committee of Secretaries. Thereafter, the whole package would be placed before the Cabinet, at that is the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, for a decision on the entire package. That would be in the form of approving some of the recommendations, approving some of the other recommendations in principle, and maybe accepting some with modifications, and maybe a small handful may or may not get accepted. So once the package as a whole is accepted, then the individual departments would need to work on the areas which they handle, because there are at least a dozen departments which are involved, like the Department of HRD or the Department of Science and Technology, or the Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion, or the Department of Financial Services. So there are several departments which are involved in acting on these recommendations. So that is the plan in terms of getting the decisions on the whole package across the government. On the strategic sector, that would be something which would be dealt with separately, and it would be dealt with individually on a department by department basis. So we will then have to sit down with the Departments of Defense and Department of Space, and then work out a strategy for synergizing the sector and the growth of the industry and their needs and their strategic directions which they have planned in mind. So I expect that right now our focus is on the Committee of Secretaries getting the approval of the Cabinet. Committee of Secretaries, we hope to get it by July. Cabinet, we would expect it to take no more than about 3 to 4 months thereafter. The dialogue with the departments on the strategic side would take place in parallel, and that it is extremely difficult to put a time frame on how much time that will take, because in part it would depend on their own view of things, it would depend on the complexity of the issues involved, but I would say that a direction should be visible in about 6 to 8 months. One of the recommendations of this task force is to also look at the semiconductor policy and to come up with a suitable policy to support the industry, and that would require a relook at the semiconductor policy in terms of several parameters, like the specific industries within electronics which are supported under that policy, the quantum of support, and the whether that support should be in slabs depending on different product ranges, etc., the form of the support. So all of these parameters will have to be relooked at when looking at the SIPS continuation in a suitable modified form, or a SIPS 2, if one may call it that.